Back on TYT Sports for the Week 17 edition of the NFL Pick'em with Chris Liss from Rotowire.com. Chris, you've been 3-1 almost every week since I've started doing this with you because Ben, again, nowhere to be found. Ben's been 1-3 for anybody who's been wondering. Every week, 1-3.
Yep, I was actually 4-1 last week because I predicted that I'd be 3-1, and that itself is a win.
That's very true. Let's take a look at last week before we get into this week's picks. So, Chris, Atlanta, Cleveland, and Houston. You took dogs. You took mostly road dogs except for Atlanta.
Yep.
For the most part, and it worked out very well in your favor. Cleveland covered by a lot. Houston won outright.
Well, Houston was crazy. That was a mistake, that line. That line, for some reason, Tennessee was favored, and then when it kicked off, Houston was favored by 4.5. And I don't know if Vegas just posted something wrong. I don't really understand it. But they really were favored, Tennessee, and it made no sense, and then it flopped.
They got hacked. They might have got hacked.
I don't know what.
Anonymous is making their way into.
I don't know if they actually took bets where people were getting Houston in 4.5, but that was one of the biggest gifts.
Yeah. Hey,
in
sometimes
handicapping history.
You bet enough, sometimes a gift will come your way. Most of the time, those gifts get taken from you.
Yeah.
Atlanta, obviously a good call, even with the points. Without the points, would have been fine. And Jacksonville was the only weird one on the list.
Well, Jacksonville, I got kind of bit because Drew Brees not only played, he played very well.
Yeah.
So I was just sort of like, if he doesn't play, that's a gift. And if he does play, it's 50-50. He did play.
And it wasn't that far. Jacksonville lost by 10.
Yeah, it was garbage time. It was wrong.
But Bortles showed up. Jaguars had some semblance of offense going, which was nice to see. For the Jacksonville fan base, which is also the London fan base. So that's where they play all the time.
Yep.
All right, Chris, 4 picks going into Week 17. Any of these stand out? Any of these look shinier than the others?
Yeah, I have a few that I like. The one I like the most is also a mispricing, in my opinion, like the Houston Titans one. And it's Indy laying 6
Houston first
against Tennessee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indy laying 6 against Tennessee?
Yeah, it should be. You got to take Tennessee. Indy's starting, what's the name of the guy? Stephen Morris, perhaps? Or if not, Ryan Lindley they signed, or Josh Freeman. I don't know if you saw the
Josh Freeman got signed.
Did you see him play against the Giants when he got signed for a game for the Vikings a couple years ago? It was honestly the worst. My friend called it performance art. A guy would be open down 15 yards away, and he'd throw it 30 feet over his head. It was the worst. It was like just taking a man off the street and putting him in to a quarterback slot. So I think that's a misprice. They should not be 6-point favorites over anybody. They're out of the playoffs. Tennessee, I don't care if it's Mettenberger.
You're not worried about who's playing quarterback?
No. I mean, the thing is, Indy's QB is going to be so bad they can't be favored by 6. So that's a misprice. Tennessee for sure. That's my best bet. The Giants. I do think that the players are going to be like, yeah, Chip's gone. Let's just show how bad he was. But they're also like, screw this season.
I think you're out of your mind to touch that
Coughlin's last game as a Giant, they are going to
New York?
win 55-0. They are going to kill them. I think the Giants, if the Giants were -7, I would still take the Giants. So Giants and Tennessee I feel strongly about. I got 2 more. I'm also going to take, I think I'm going to take Green Bay, and I really despise Mike McCarthy, and Green Bay has played horrible of late. They got 1 win against the Lions, which was total garbage. Shouldn't have even been a face mask. Then they get the Hail Mary, and they played terrible at Arizona. But I just think this is the buy low time, and that they know how to play Minnesota, and the public is on Minnesota, and yet the line moved up from 2.5 to 3. I'm taking Green Bay. And then finally, I think I'm taking Cincy laying 7.5 against Baltimore. Baltimore had a great game against Pittsburgh. Cincy's kind of on the ropes. They have A.J. McCarron as their quarterback, but they're such a better team than Baltimore, and they're at home. I think Baltimore kind of did its job last week, knocked Pittsburgh or put them on the ropes. I think Cincy wins this game easily, so those are my 4.
Interesting picks. I like Buffalo, but I don't like them to win. I just like them to lose by about 2, which would cover the spread. I can see that game finishing 19-17 in so many different scenarios.
Could be, yeah. I don't. I'm probably taking Buffalo, but I'm not strong on it.
Yeah. Do you pick every game when you do your handicap? Right.
Yeah. But some are just coin flips.
Right. Any 2-star matchups you'd like to discuss on this?
My 2-star matchup. Yeah. No, I don't have any. I'm just whatever. Right. I do my best for TYT.
Chris, another great season of Pick'em. Thank you, as always, for being here for it. Make sure to follow Chris at Chris_Liss. Before we go, also, Chris, recap the 4 that you're going to take this week.
My 4 picks are Cincy at home, laying 7.5 against the Ravens. I also like the Giants at home, laying 3 against the Eagles. I also like Tennessee getting 6 in Indianapolis. And finally, I like Green Bay at home, laying 3 against the Vikings.
Nice. All right, so there you have it. Make sure to head over to Rotowire.com. He does a podcast, East Coast Offense. There's a bunch of other great articles you can read, including the observations after each week. Make sure to check out all the good stuff on anything NFL related. And we'll see you next week.